All right, learning test number 4. So once again, we are going to learn a third way to solve quadratic equations. We learned solving by factoring. Let's write this down. We learned solving by factoring. This only works with rational roots. We learned quadratic formula in the last learning task. This works for rational or irrational. And today we're going to learn completing the square. And completing the square also works for rational or irrational. Um, and the real key with this one is that a needs to be 1. So when we're in standard form, if there's a number in front of x squared, you don't want to use this method. Now, in reality, at higher level math classes, we do deal with the fact that there might be a number in front of x squared, and you can still use it to complete the square. But for the purposes of this course, we're going to stick with a equal to 1 for using completing the square. And this is going to lead to a bunch of different things. So we really want to make sure that that we're good at this method, because we're actually going to use this method quite a bit in the next unit that we're going to be doing in the next 2 weeks. All right. So let's talk about the steps. We're just going to write them down for now, and then I will explain each one as we go. So first thing, we want to get this in the correct form. Now, it is close to ax squared plus bx plus c, but it's actually not that. What we want to do is we want to get the constant, move constant to the right side. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, step 2. We're going to add b divided by 2 squared to both sides. I know, don't worry. Don't worry, I got you. We're going to factor. Then we are going to take the square root of both sides. And finally, we're going to solve. All right, let's get to it. I know this looks confusing, but I'm telling you, it's not nearly as bad as you think. In fact, a lot of students really like this method. All right, so step number 1, let's get this in the correct form. Normally, what we've been learning so far is we always want to get our quadratics equal to 0. Well, with the completing the square method, we don't actually want to get our quadratics equal to 0. What we want is we want the a term and the b term on the left side, and the c term, we want it to move it to the right side. So in this case, instead of subtracting 6 from both sides, I'm actually going to subtract 3 from both sides. And what happens is I get x squared minus 4x equals 3. That's the first step. That's the form that we want. That's the correct form. Step 2, add b over 2 squared to both sides. Okay, well, where's our b term? Our b term is right here, okay? If I take 4, and it can be negative 4, it's not going to make a difference because notice we're going to be squaring. So either way, we're going to be adding to both sides. If I take 4 and divide it by 2, I get 2. 2 squared is 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. This is what it looks like. X squared minus 4x, and now I'm going to add 4. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side, says the addition property of equality. You can't just add to one side. The reason why I did that, and we want to make a note of this, I'm going to use this verbiage with you. The reason why we did this is because this right here, this is what we call a perfect square trinomial. And that will what that means is will be a lot easier to see when we do the next step. The next step is to factor. Now here's what I want. Here's what should happen. I want to factor this trinomial on the left-hand side. 3 plus 4 is 7, so I'm just going to write that down. I want to factor this. I need two numbers that multiply to positive 4 and add to negative 4. Well, those two numbers are going to be negative 2 and negative 2. And what do you notice? Notice that this and this are exactly the same. That's what should happen. If you end up with like x plus 5 and x minus 3, something went wrong. They should be the same exact thing. That's because this is a perfect square trinomial. Just like a perfect square number has a square root, like 5 times 5. Perfect square trinomial has a square root, like x minus 2 times x minus 2. And the beauty of that is we can then rewrite that as x minus 2 squared, because x minus 2 times x minus 2 is the same thing as x minus 2 squared. Okay, so now I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to rewrite this. X minus 2 squared equals 7. And now we are on step 4. Take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to take the square root of this side. I'm going to take the square root of this side. When I take the square root of x minus 2 squared, we learned some point in the recently that square root and squared are inverses of each other. So they're actually going to undo each other, and I'm just going to be left with x minus 2. And on this side, when I take the square root of 7, there's going to be a positive root and a negative root, but I'm just going to leave it as square root 7. And lastly, it says to solve. Well, solve means get x by itself, so what I need to do is I need to add 2 to both sides. When I add 2 to both sides, on this side I have x by itself, and on the right-hand side, don't try to add the 2 and the 7 because the 2 is not in a square root and the 7 is in a square root. So don't add those together. Instead, you're just going to write 2 plus or minus radical 7. If they were to ask, just like with quadratic formula, if they were to ask for simplest radical form, you would be done. There's two solutions here, 2 plus radical 7, 2 minus radical 7. If they ask for the decimal form, then we need to branch off into our two roots. X equals 2 plus radical 7, x equals 2 minus radical 7. And then you're going to put those in your calculator. Let's round to the nearest hundredth. So if I put 2 plus radical 7 in my calculator, I get 4.65. And if I put 2 minus radical 7, then I get negative 0.65 to the nearest hundredth. And there's my two roots. Once again, if you want to see the next example, I'm going to do the next example. Otherwise, you can start practicing. All right, here we go. Step 1. Let's get this in standard form. So I'm going to distribute this, and I get m squared minus 12m equals negative 26. And I notice that my a term and my b term are on the left-hand side, and my constant term, the c term, is on the right-hand side. So now I can proceed to step 2, which is take half of 12, which is 6, and square it, which is 36, and I'm going to add 36 to both sides. So here's what I have now. M squared minus 12m plus 36 equals negative 26 plus 36. Factor the left-hand side. The two numbers that multiply to give me 36 and add to give me negative 12 is negative 6 and negative 6. And remember, we're happy because this is exactly the same as this. That's what we want to happen. And on the right-hand side, negative 26 plus 36 is 10. I'm going to rewrite this as m minus 6 squared equals 10. Next step, take the square root of both sides. So now I have just m minus 6, the square root, and the squared undo each other. So I'm left with just m minus 6 plus or minus radical 10. Solve. Add 6 to both sides. M equals 6 plus or minus radical 10. If they ask for simplest radical form, you'd be done because radical 10 cannot be simplified. There's no perfect square number that goes into radical 10. But if they ask for the decimal form, then we have to branch off. M equals 6 plus radical 10. M equals 6 minus radical 10. I'm going to go to my calculator. Let's round to the nearest tenth. I get m equals 9.2. And 6 minus radical 10 is 2.8, rounded to the nearest tenth. And there's my two roots. And that is how we solve by completing the square.